Phoenix didn't make the top 15 of the largest gaining cities as far as population goes in America the last time around, or this last year. San Antonio, Fort Worth, Charlotte, Jacksonville, and Port St. Lucie topped the list, actually. And the question is, why? Why might Phoenix have trouble growing as quickly as some of the other major cities? It used to be that anytime one of these came out, one of these surveys from the census came out, we would see at least a metro city on that list. It might be Mesa. It might be, I'm going to count Maricopa. It might be Buckeye, right? It might be any of those. We would see one of those cities. But those cities are not on the list, and neither is Phoenix. Phoenix grew by about 6,000, according to a report by the Arizona Republic.
Which is not bad.
That's pretty good.
That's not in the top 15, though. The lowest in the top 15 was Cape Coral or Corral? Cape Coral, Florida?
I love you.
I'm not trying to be a problem. That was not a Prescott moment. But,
Yeah.
And they even had more than 7,500 people move there.
Yeah.
Cape Coral, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So actually, as we look at that list, every single city on the list of the top 15 largest gaining cities is south of the Mason-Dixon line. What was that?
That's interesting.
They are all Confederate states, except Washington, D.C., I suppose, makes the list as well. They're all in Confederate states.
Do you take something away from that? That is weird.
Nah, the only thing I take from it is that they're in the Sun Belt. But they're not in the Western Sun Belt. And it got me thinking about why is it, because nobody likes the humidity more than they like dry heat. I know it's hot, but hot and humid is much worse.
Yes.
Much worse.
I did not like the humidity back in Michigan, where I was from. I thought that was worse than the heat out here.
Yeah.
Now, talk to me in August and September when I've been through another 3 or 4 months of it.
Yeah.
And by the end of it, I am ready for relief.
Have you considered trying to get a lake cottage? The humidity stays down. There's always a breeze. It's pretty
Here
nice.
in the valley?
No.
I would love a lake cottage. How do I get that?
Back at your hometown.
No.
Joe, so what were your thoughts then about why it is that Phoenix might have trouble growing as quickly as other major cities? I have some thoughts.
One of the things I thought of was really transportation and just how the valley was built. And it was built like somebody trying to renovate a house built before electricity. So we've got this lovely grid system out here.
Yeah.
We've got all these roads. We've got it all built up, houses, buildings, things like that. And then years ago, we decided to come in and try to put in light rail for $65 million a mile.
Yeah.
And it just it's not real easy to get around. You think about other big cities, they're very transportation friendly. I haven't visited a ton of them, but if you go to like a Denver, you can bike there very easily. If you go to a New York or an LA, really good metro, subway systems, convenient for things like that. Phoenix, not convenient at all. If you don't have a car, Phoenix is not the place for you.
Yeah, and even if you do have a car, it's the traffic is starting to pile up a lot like you might see in some of those other big cities, especially in California. So, we've been talking about the climate. I think that's one of the things that can be a double-edged sword.
People are intimidated by the 115?
I think so. I think so. I think there are some people that they get tired. Let's say you live in Chicago and you have a cold winter. You've got high of -2, whatever, and you go, that's it. We're not doing another Chicago winter. We're moving to Arizona. I could see that. But I also think that there are some people who might live in St. Louis that think, okay, I'm going to retire. Do I go to Port St. Lucie or do I go to Phoenix? Phoenix just seems hot to me. And you go, well, yeah, but Port St. Lucie is really humid. And you go, well, I deal with humid anyway. I'm used to that.
It still blows me away, though. I'll chat with some people online who live in like Idaho or live back in Michigan, and you tell them you're in Phoenix, and you tell them in July, like, yeah, it's going to be like 118 today.
Right.
And they honestly think like that you are made of a different material. Like, no, you don't melt just because you live in the valley.
Yeah.
And don't know about you, but when it's that hot, I don't go outside very much.
No.
I might go out for a walk at night, but but
Yeah.
the sun is down. It's not like you and I are, we're going to do the show from outside today
No.
when it's 118 degrees. I would like to see you try to do that, though. I bet you would just be miserable.
You would not see an angrier person around.
Because I would probably be fine. I feel, this feels like inside in the 84. I'm good.
Oh, my heart goes out to anybody that works road construction or HVAC when it's those days.
They have like ice vests that they wear all day.
So I think it could be a double-edged sword. But let's also remember with our climate, we also don't have water. And I think that's a big hang-up right now. We just ain't got none. So you want to move to Phoenix.
Well, what do you mean we don't have water?
We just don't have enough water to accommodate if we have a number of people coming here, right? If our population
building new places.
Exactly. And I think that's very problematic. Pablo brought it up to me too. He said there may be that we are still attracting people, but we're also driving some people away. Some people who like that Phoenix was kind of the getaway Southwest town. We weren't Las Vegas. We were kind of a chill place to be. We're not California.
We're too big now.
Now we're too big. Now it feels too much like a big city, like an LA. We've got too much traffic. We have too many people that aren't from here. And I think
a lot of people are not from here now.
I think it's 2/3 now that are not originally from the area. Cost of living obviously has got to be a factor, and the reason that we might not grow as fast as other cities. I pulled up one of those cost of living calculators, and the difference for most of these other Sunbelt towns that we're talking about is
just cheaper.
Yeah, 15 to 20% cheaper.
I believe it. But Phoenix used to be really low on the cost of living scale, and now it's totally flipped.
So here's the biggest thing that I think is going to hinder us as far as potential growth in the future for the city of Phoenix. We don't necessarily have this problem elsewhere, but for the city of Phoenix, not the metro, the city, and that is the space, the room to grow. It's one of those deals where if you live in Phoenix itself and you want a yard, you can have one, right? Just don't water it because we ain't got none. But that means that if we're going to grow the city, it comes by either building more in far north NoFo, like the plans around the TSMC plant. You know, they're going to build a whole bunch of new houses there. And there are some areas, North 303 and Carefree Highway and things like that. Or like this bill that Hobbs signed, you have to increase density. But if you increase density, you need more public transit in order to accommodate.
And I think that's a real problem. I don't see how they're going to be able to do that.
And I feel like we have sort of outpaced our planning. Look at, for instance, New York City is only 321 square miles, but they have almost 9 million people living there, right? Phoenix is 518 square miles. So we have 2/3 more than New York does. And yet New York has almost 5 times the population, right?
Because New York is also built up, to your point.
Higher density, yeah.
Yeah, like you've got all kinds of apartments that are, I haven't been to New York in a long time, but I'll just say like 20, 30 stories.
Yeah, much more than that.
Here in Phoenix, I don't know that there's any that are like that.
Yeah. So I do think that we are going to see population growth continue in the valley, but I think we're going to see more like what we've been seeing, and that is urban sprawl. So that's why you've got Buckeyes.
More out, not up.
Yes, exactly. Buckeye is going to have the fastest growth in the valley going forward. Every time I go to Queen Creek, I come back and I complain to you about how it's turned into it's more like Huntington Beach to L.A. than what Waco was to Dallas, right? It's just like, remember when Queen Creek was out in the boonies and it was all just fields out there? Yeah, it's not now.
No, it's totally connected to
Costco
the valley.
and yoga studios. So I think those are the big things that are holding us back.
And you're more a yoga studio man than a Costco guy.
I just avoid both of those because I get sweaty in both places. So,
thanks for watching the Chris and Joe Show. Click to see more from Chris and Joe and tap the button in the middle to subscribe to KTAR News.